Welcome to another Cardano update. Like always, make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. And Cardano is currently going down, but so is the entire market right now. If you look at Bitcoin, it dropped from like $88,000 all the way down to like $84,000. And as you can see, we are actually below the 200-day moving average. And right now, what we need to do is get back above it, because if we actually go below it, this would be a rejection of the bull market support band, and usually after we get rejected by the bull market support band, we either get another low or some kind of double bottom, which means that, if we do not manage to get back above the 200-day moving average and then above the bull market support band, I think it's possible to still get another low in the fourth wave move down before we actually continue with the move to the upside. So please be very careful. Now I also want to talk about the RSI. The RSI is not oversold yet, but as you can see, it cooled off quite a lot, and even though the price did not really go down that much, the RSI is actually almost oversold. Now, the last time we were oversold on the 4-hour RSI was down here when Bitcoin was at about $76,000, and as you can see right now, if we do get to the oversold territory, I think that would actually put us at, let's see, about $83,000, maybe $82,000, which means that after we get to the oversold, we should most likely get some type of bounce, which could put us back above the 200-day moving average. Now, keep in mind, we do not have to get to these levels. Maybe we can get a bounce right now because we are below the 200-day moving average after all. Now we'll see what happens with that. Now I also want to talk about Cardano, because this is obviously Cardano video, and yeah, I mean, Cardano is also going down, which is normal because when Bitcoin is going down, it's also, impacting the other market as well, and this is okay. Now, as you can see, we broke down below the trend line right here, which means that we might get another, let's say higher low and maybe touch the trend line right here. And yeah, we invalidated this thing right here, which, I mean, it means that we have to get rid of it. Now, this 1-2 setup is still not invalidated as long as we stay above this level, which is at about 65 cents. So if we stay above that, we should be fine. Now, keep in mind, a major support level is the trend line right here that already has 2 touch points, and that's at about, let's see, 67.6 cents or so, maybe 67 cents. And yeah, if we do not stay above this level, then we will invalidate the whole 1-2 setup here. And it's also very likely that we invalidate the fourth wave as well, and maybe even get like another low in the second wave, or we actually invalidate the whole 1, 2, 3, 4 setup and we get some kind of double bottom at 50 cents, or even a new low. But I'm not really expecting a new low in the second wave right here, because we already got to the 0.618 support level. So if we do get to it again, I don't think we'll drop below it. Now, of course, we could drop to like 48 cents or so, but I'm not gonna really count on that, at least not yet, because Cardano is still showing a lot of strength. And like I said, if we actually get some type of bounce right here, the third wave of the 1-2 setup here could still theoretically happen, and that would still put us above the bull market support band. So yeah, as long as we stay above this low right here, we should be fine. And the next targets are about 92.3 cents and then about 96.8 cents. Now, of course, the minimum target for the third wave is this, which means that after that we have to get a correction either way, which would be a fourth wave, and then the fifth wave move up will finally confirm that the second wave move down will actually confirm that the fourth wave move down is in and that we're heading in a fifth wave. So these 5 waves up will only confirm the low, but it will not confirm that the fifth wave is in. These 5 waves will actually only form a first wave of the fifth wave, so there is still a long way to go until we can actually confirm that the low is in. Now, if you look at the RSI, it's also dropping quite a lot, and we had an uptrend here as well, and we have broken below it. We actually had like 4 touch points, so the fact that we broke below it, it's a bit interesting, and it's definitely going to be interesting to see what happens with this. This could also get to the oversold territory, and by the way, if we do drop to the oversold territory, the last time we were oversold was at like 64 cents, so nothing has really changed. I mean, we have been going sideways for quite a few months now, and as you know from the past, usually when Cardano goes sideways for a while, that's when it usually gets a pump. So I am still expecting the altcoin market to get a pump, but we could get some kind of drop before that. And yeah, right now it's the end of May, and if you look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, it's actually going up. However, you have to keep in mind it's overbought on the 4-hour chart, and the last time we were overbought on the 4-hour was up here at about 62.3% dominance. So right now we are about to get to the overbought territory again, and we're about to get to pretty much the exact same percentages. Now, if you look at what happened, just a couple of years ago in 2021, I mean, this did not really happen in 2021. Bitcoin dominance just went sideways. However, we actually had this move right here, which ended on March 14th, and we actually had a move to the upside during March, and this move was from 60% all the way up to like 63%, which may not seem like a lot when you zoom out, but this was actually a pretty good move, actually a pretty big move. And then after that, we slowly bled back down, and I mean, as you can see, exactly at the end of March, we started breaking down. Now, if we go on the weekly chart for this, just so you can see when exactly it started going down and in which week, if you zoom out on this, I mean, the first week was actually at the end of March, so basically right now, and this move to the downside actually started on a Monday, meaning that we could actually have to wait until Monday, which I believe is like, well, actually, let me check when that is. That is on April 1st. So if we do not go up until April 8th, which is the second week of April, then we might be in a big pickle, because Bitcoin dominance usually drops at the end of March or at the end of February. And as you know, Bitcoin dominance has not dropped at the end of February in this cycle, meaning that we kind of need to drop right now, or like I said, next week, in order to actually confirm that we are still doing what we did here. Because if we do not start dropping, Bitcoin dominance could continue going higher, and it could even get to like 66%, which is obviously not something that we want right now. So yeah, let's see what happens with that. Now, when we talk about Bitcoin dominance, we also need to talk about Ethereum, and Ethereum is not looking great either. It's also going down, and yeah, I mean, this could be a bottom, but like I said, I cannot confirm that it's in until we actually get back above the bull market support band. So we kind of need to, Ethereum kind of needs to show some strength right now if it actually wants to confirm a bottom. We did get to the 0.618 support level, but this is not enough. And also, remember what I said a couple of weeks ago, Ethereum could actually get to the oversold territory on the weekly chart, and if it does, that would actually be very, very bullish, because the last time we got to the oversold territory was down here in June of 2022, and after that, as you know, we went from like $900 all the way up to like $4,000 in a matter of like 2 years. So if we do get to the oversold territory, that could actually be a good buying opportunity, and also I think after that we could finally get a bounce, but we also don't have to get to these levels. Now, we could actually, start a bounce and it would be okay, but we haven't, at least not yet, so we're still waiting for that. However, if you look at the 4-hour chart, we could say that maybe this is actually a fake out, because the price went down, but it never really got below these lows right here. However, the RSI, as you can see, it's already oversold, so with Bitcoin dominance being overbought and Ethereum being oversold, this leads me to believe that we're about to have some kind of bounce very, very soon. Now, I might be wrong about that, who knows, we'll just have to wait and see what happens. And going back to the Cardano chart, let me actually zoom out on this and let me show you a couple of other things. For example, the daily chart, as you can see, it's still in an uptrend. The RSI is still going sideways right now, and it has been going sideways for quite some time. We are still waiting for a cross on the bull market support band, and we are still waiting for Cardano to get to the 0.618 resistance level of the previous all-time high and get rejected again, because after we get to these levels, we will actually have 5 waves up, meaning that we will need an ABC down first before we start the third wave of the third wave. But I think this will still start, and I think the pattern is still the exact same as it was right here, meaning that right now it's only the calm before the storm, and I think the storm will happen very, very soon. Now, is it going to be a nice storm? Well, I don't know. We could actually, break down before we get some kind of bounce, but we could also start the pump right now, and it would be okay. Now, I need to go on the weekly chart as well, because I need to show you something here, and I have warned you about this a couple of weeks ago. We got rejected by the moving average on the weekly, and when I made that video, I warned you that this was not really bullish, because usually after we get rejected by the moving average on the weekly RSI, we go down even more. For example, we did it over here, we got below it, we tried going back above it, and we did not manage to do it, which means that, yeah, after that, we just went down for a couple of months. So right now, what we need to do is get back above it. Also, speaking of the RSI, if you go on the monthly RSI, this is also going to be very, very important, and we actually need to stay above the moving average on the monthly RSI right now, because if we do not, it's not going to be good for Cardano, because we will actually have a close below the moving average, and if we still want to follow this path and not have any previous cycle, we still have to stay above it, because here we stayed above it after we had the 1-2-1-2 setup. So yes, we did have a correction which lasted like 3 months. However, during that time, like I said, the RSI stayed above the moving average on the monthly chart. So right now we have a 1-2-1-2 setup again, and we have to stay above the moving average no matter what happens. So what we need to hope for right now is that we don't get a huge move to the downside until April 1st, because if we do get a big wave move to the downside by April 1st, we could actually drop below the moving average on the monthly chart, and that will not be good for Cardano. So yeah, it kind of needs to hold if it actually wants to stay bullish right now. So we'll see what happens with that, and honestly I don't really have anything else to say. I mean, it's still going sideways after all, and of course people are still complaining, calling the entire market dead, even though Bitcoin dominance is at like 62%. So yeah, it's still the exact same thing every single day. Thank you for watching. Make sure to check out our YouTube memberships and our Patreon if you want access to all of our charts, and if you want access to our daily Discord updates. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.